Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Gold TV channel 125, on all our social media platforms and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. And also brought to you by Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. My name is Faustina Safo. Please stay with us for details. Thanks for choosing us for your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Now, leaders of civil society groups in the country are concerned the Ghana Armed Forces could intervene, which could have implications for the stability of the country if the 2024 election degenerates into violence. These concerns come on the back of the refusal of the largest opposition party, the NDC, to sign a peace pact ahead of the 2024 general election. Executive Director of the Institute for Democratic Governance, Dr. Emmanuel Aubyn, says the issue of political party vigilantism is still very real despite a law prohibiting its existence.
There are precedents of violence, particularly in by-elections. You can talk about Etiwa, Ayawaso came in much later. You can talk about Talensi, and we can go on. And then you ask yourself, under which of these two parties in government did the violence occur? And what was done about the violence? Were the perpetrators arrested? Were they prosecuted? Were those injured? How did we handle them? And so on. So there's a certain impunity because both parties eventually then, as we saw in 2016 and thereafter in 2020, have vigilantes. They have now transformed from foot soldiers we saw first after the 2008 elections, getting to Etiwa. We saw that the foot soldiers had emerged in both camps. And then later on, subsequently, after 2012, we saw they were armed. And in 2016, we saw transition issues with armed groups coming up. And then the law came into place in 2020 ahead of the elections, and it had to be enforced. And then the warning. So there has been a steady evolution of potential violence. By this time, private armies, the vigilantes are private armies. It's only that we've been told they are owned by wealthy individuals within the parties, and the parties do not take ownership of them. And how have we dealt with that? So the situation that says resort to violence is threatening because the two parties now have their own private armies and they are armed and they've not been disarmed and so on, led to the enactment after the Ayawaso West War gone 2019 of the vigilante law. Civil society groups came together, we reviewed the bill, we took a collective stand, and we thought now the president spoke when the law was passed and the determination to deal with this. It didn't happen. It hasn't happened.
African Network for Peace Building agrees with Dr. Aubyn's assertion, and they confirm that indeed this is an issue of worry. According to the network's research coordinator, Dr. Festus Kofi, some political parties are still maintaining their vigilante groups.
One of the things we've seen that although the political parties, some still have these vigilante groups, they don't call them vigilante groups, but they've taken on new names.
All manner of names.
Yes. New names and all that. But if you look at the activities and all that, it mimic that of the vigilante groups. And so we've been engaging, our plan is to engage the parties to make sure that the provisions in the act that they all sign on to are respected. But, you know, sometimes it's very difficult because of also some of the mistrust that they have within the security agencies.
Right.
So it's one of the things that we are also engaging the National Election Security Task Force to also see how they also ensure that they meet the security demands of the political parties to prevent the involvement of some of these groups.
Well, the NPP Member of Parliament for Agona West, Cynthia Morrison, has announced her intention to run as an independent candidate in the 2024 parliamentary election. This decision comes after she lost the NPP parliamentary primary on the 13th of April, where she received 152 votes, while Christopher Arthur won with 240 votes, securing the party's nomination. Cynthia Morrison won the Agona West seat in 2016 general election. In the 2020 election, she ran again as the NPP parliamentary candidate and secured re-election with 30,513 votes out of 59,193 valid votes cast. Now, despite her previous successes, Cynthia Morrison's decision to contest as an independent candidate reflects her decision and her determination to continue representing her constituency even outside the party framework. Well, let's get more on this. Join us now on the phone lines is Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, Mustafa Haruna Mohammed. Thank you so much for your time here on Election Brief. Now, kindly brief us. Has the NPP been officially informed of Cynthia Morrison's decision to contest the parliamentary seat of Agona West as an independent candidate?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to your cherished viewers and you yourself, Martina. You look beautiful today.
Thank you.
There is no formality when you want to contest for independent parliamentarship of Ghana with respect to the position of the MPP's manifesto, MPP's constitution. If somebody wants to contest for independence, there is no laid down procedure for that because the constitution of our party frowns on the contest of independence. So we may not be expecting to have a formal engagement on this particular matter, whether we have been informed or not. But this is something we are hearing or seeing from the media, just as you have called me.
What's the next line of action as a party? Would you move in to engage her?
Once this has been heard in the public space, the leadership of the party will privately engage to find out the authenticity of this, whether it is AI generated or it is actually coming from the member of parliament. So the party leadership will do so behind the scenes and to get to the bottom of the matter.
But if indeed it is true, what it means is that that seat will now be declared vacant, her seat in parliament. Is that the case?
I cannot be very authoritative on that because I have not updated myself to the constitutional provisions as to when a member of parliament is contesting for independent and a time frame before elections, whatever it says. We have not gotten there. We are going to do a backstage engagement on that matter, and then we'll get back.
Thank you so much, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Haruna Mohammed, there giving us updates on Cynthia Morrison's decision to declare stand for the Agona West parliamentary seat as an independent candidate. We're taking a quick breather here on Election Brief. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us. Hashtag Defend Media Freedom Ghana. We'll tell you all about it and how you can be a part of it on all our social media handles, because the Joe News National Media Freedom Dialogue on Defending Media Freedom takes place in just 7 days. It's on August 29, 2024, and join us across all our social media handles so that you can be a part of this campaign that we're pushing as multimedia group. Now, join me in the studio to shed light on this is head of our political desk here at Joe News, Evans Mensah. Evans, tell me, what is this hashtag all about?
So, if you cast your mind back, and unfortunately, I've done this job for too long. So, anytime we're approaching elections, one of the things that tend to happen, unfortunately, is that journalists become victims of assault, of abuse on the campaign trail. We have a colleague who, after the 2012 elections, was assaulted and still hasn't recovered. It's been a pretty difficult last many years for him because he had simply gone out to report after the results were declared, the losing party and its supporters felt that, we call the elections here, they felt that he had, because he was coming from multimedia, they should just pounce on him and assault him. And it left, scars on him that affected his well-being. He hasn't quite recovered because of his posture was affected. That's how severely he was beaten. And we have an elections coming up. We cannot sit by and hope that everything else will go well. Every election year, if it's not a multimedia journalist, some other journalist somewhere in this country, because we are in nooks and crannies of this country in 275, now 276 constituencies, reporting, bringing the news to everybody else. Who protects us whilst we do that? The other agencies who do this go onto the ground and they do their work. But the media organizations and journalists across the country, and we are recruiting a lot of people across the country to report for us, and they'll be exposed. And so we thought we can come together with partners like CDD and the Danish Foreign Affairs Ministry to bring people together, create awareness about the need to protect journalists in this period, but in beyond. And that is why we are putting this together. So this campaign has started with the social media hashtag that you've seen, various collaterals and creatives being shared for people to participate in that. One is awareness creation, but then we're going to have this culmination of having this big national summit on this next week, and we can talk more about that, but it's all to get people aware that journalism is not a crime. And we cannot have an election, free, credible, safe elections without the media. And that's why we're doing this, to get people informed about that. But also, when you see a journalist out there, it is your responsibility to ensure that he's safe, because he or she is safe. If that doesn't happen, you won't get information you require. And if you don't get information you require, the process becomes flawed. People can decide that the elections were not free and fair. Transparency is the biggest thing we bring to the table, and we want to ensure that is protected this year.
And this is coming at a time where there are concerns and confliction when it comes to political parties and their stance about signing the peace pact. So tell us about the panel that would be attending this event.
So we're going to have key stakeholders from various parts of the economy, but also the government architecture. So we're going to have the reps from the judiciary, the IGP will be there. We're also going to have reps from Parliament, because of course it represents the arm of government that is also very important to this whole process of ensuring a free, fair, but also transparent elections. And transparent elections is where we come in even more so. And that sort of has a knock-on effect on everything else. If it's not transparent, then there's suspicion that it's not free and it's not fair. So you need to first establish the foundation for this process, this elections, to be transparent. And journalists taking our cameras into the strong room of the EC, being in the polling station, reporting what is happening, is a surest way of guaranteeing that. And so we're going to have Parliament there, we're going to have the executive represented, and we're going to have civil society represented as well. Every sector of this great country of ours, of this, the entire government architecture, these three arms of government and beyond, civil society, but clergy, the Christian faith-based organizations will all be represented there next week. And this is next week, Thursday, by the way. And we're going to have it at the Nat Hall, refurbished Nat Hall. And we're going to start at 4, but we're not going to wait till that day to start having a conversation. We want to start now, which is why we've launched the hashtag
Media freedom.
Defend media freedom, GH, which is what we're using as a hashtag, just to create the awareness, create the buzz, and carry everybody along. Because you see, even if the police officer doesn't assault you, some ordinary bloke may see a journalist doing his work, wearing a branded T-shirt or a vest, and decide, because the person is reporting on an issue that he disagrees with, just assault him. If you want as many people as possible to be exposed to the importance of protecting journalism. In fact, we're not only doing this by ourselves. Our colleagues at Adom will also join. They're part of this campaign. We'll also be doing their own conversation in Ashanti Region, so that we are covering everybody else.
Thank you so much, Evans Mensah. We know we'll expand the conversation in subsequent bulletin, especially the polls. We'll tell you how you can be a part of this campaign. We'll push it on social media. Well, the John Hughes National Media Freedom Dialogue we know is slated for Thursday, 29th of August 2024 at the Nat Hall in Accra. 4 p.m. is the time. The event will be broadcast live on Joe 99.7 FM, on Joe News and myjoeonline.com. Thank you, Evans. Now let's do some other stories here on Election Brief. It is day 3 of the Electoral Commission's voter registration exhibition exercise. The first 2 days recorded low turnout across the country. Let's check on some of our reporters to see how day 3 is faring. Well, join us now from the Central Region, Eric Asante. Thank you for your time here on Election Brief. Tell us, what can you report day 3?
From day 1 and 2, low turnouts in the ongoing exercise continue here in the Central Region. Most of the polling stations I visited, specifically in the Futu constituencies, in the Gomwa East constituencies, were without activities. For instance, at the Taxi Rang polling station in the Gomwa East constituency, only 4 people out of 438 had come to check their names. The Chiefs Compound polling station was no different, with 5 people having checked as at 11 a.m. when I visited. The Dawson Memorial SDA school, also in the constituency, also had less 1 person coming to check his name on the voters register. Most people that I spoke with, they cited apathy. Others said they were sure their names were on the register, only to the fact that they took part in the last district election. Interestingly, all the polling stations that I visited, I didn't see the 2 major political parties, their reps, that their party agents there. So the issue in the Central Region has not deviated from what we witnessed day 1, day 2, and even day 3 here in the Central Region.
Thank you so much, Eric Asante. Let's take you now to the Ashanti region, where, like most places, the process was marked with low attendance on the first and second days. Emmanuel Aubyn is in the Ashanti region. Tell us, has turnout improved?
Well, firstly, what I can say is that the turnout hasn't really improved over the last few days since this particular exercise started across the country. When you look at the Ashanti region, most of these polling stations have not really seen any much of activity happening over there. You go there and then the EC officials are just sitting there. You don't see long queues that you normally find during some of these registration exercises. The first day wasn't encouraging. We reported that it was a low start. We're hoping that today and yesterday the numbers would have increased, but this has not really changed much. When I interacted with some of these people who are expected, the prospective voters who are expected to go to the polling stations and to check their names, and what they tell me is that they know that their names are rightly captured in the voter album. That's because they participated in the previous elections, and so they don't find any reason why they should go. Some other people are also saying because it's a weekday, they are really engaged in their names, even though the EC says this is just a short exercise. Within some 2 minutes, you should be done. But most of them don't really go to check. But they tell me that maybe over the weekend, that Saturday and Sunday, they might troop it to the centers and then check their names. And they also citing political apathy. And that's why most of these people are not ready to go and check. And also the EC here in the Ashanti region, they hope that these people are checking their names online, especially the younger ones, because when you go to the polling stations, you'd only find the older people going there to check their details. That's because they may not be savvy to some of these technological advancements. And so they are hoping that the younger ones who don't really come to the stations are doing so online. And so, firstly, this is what is currently happening here in the Ashanti region.
Thank you. Let's head now to the Upper West region. Rafik Salam joins us live from Wa. Rafik, what can you report? Rafik, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly.
The situation in the Upper West region is not really different from what we are experiencing at other regions in the country. There's really very low turnout in the Wa municipality and also in the Wa East constituency, where this exercise is also ongoing. Some of the places that we have visited, we have recorded low numbers, as many as 15 or 20 people visiting these areas. The people are telling us that they don't think that this is an exercise that they need to be serious with because they have already voted at previous elections and they believe that their names are already on the voters register. And so the situation has come here. And some of the places that I have visited, I haven't seen many polling agents from the two main political parties, NDC or MPP, are there. But the exercise is going on smoothly.
Thank you, Rafiq Salam, giving us updates from WA. Well, let's move on to other stories. The Northern Regional Chairman of the National Democratic Congress has accused the New Patriotic Party of frequently initiating projects without securing the necessary funding. Adolf Ali criticized Vice President Dr. Bawumia, who is also the NPP flag bearer, for what he described as a patent for cutting swords without following through on these projects. Speaking at a visit or during a visit to Lamashegu and during the exhibition exercise at that specific center as part of his tour of the voter exhibition centers in the region, he contrasted the leadership of former President John Mahama with that of Dr. Bawumia, saying whilst Ghanaians can trust John Mahama to deliver on his promises, the same cannot be said about Dr. Bawumia.
The NDC regional chairman visited the Tolong, Saviligu and Kumbungu constituency. He also visited some centers in the Tamale metropolis to assess how the exhibition exercise was taking place and to appeal to his party members to ensure they check for their names. At the Lamashegu Primary Exhibition Center, the Northern Regional Chairman, Adolf Ali, said whilst Ghanaians can trust former President John Dramani Mahama to deliver on his promises, similar cannot be said about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He said Ghanaians know what Mr. Mahama is capable of doing, adding that one can never tag the former president as a liar.
We didn't know that the suffering was even going to get to this extent. It's terrible. If 1 cedi to almost 4 cedis, if $1 to almost 4 cedis was incompetence by the then government. So now that it is $1 to almost 16 cedis, $1 to almost 16 cedis, how will you call such a government? The most useless government I have ever seen. Very, very useless. This is the first time the dollar has risen that far ever since independence. Unless somebody can prove me wrong. He's not ashamed. And so he has now run away from defending the economy. He has become an ITC specialist in charge of digitalization. That is Bawumia for you. And such a person, he still has the moral courage. If not because he thinks that the longer they are there, the more they will be covering their corrupt activities. Such a person has no moral justification to come out to contest even parliamentary election, let alone president. That is why His Excellency John Dramani Mahama said, this type of person, he shouldn't go and sit down and waste his time to debate him.
He said the NDC is taking back all the seats it lost in the previous election.
Northern region, we are very, 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 very ready. We are taking back every seat in the region. We are targeting every seat in the region. The least we are going to win in this region is 14.
Now, in case you prefer to use your phone to verify your registration details, my colleague Jacqueline Ansuma has a demonstration for you.
First thing here is you dial *711 *51 hash, then you press the call. And you're waiting, and it says here that welcome to the mobile voter register exhibition service. Enter your 10-digit voter ID number. So I've already copied it and I'm just pasting it here. And it says here, hello Yeboah, you'll be charged 0.50 pesos to receive your voter verification details. So then I press 1 to confirm. Then wait, it says here, after payment confirmation, your voter ID details will be sent via SMS. Think, okay, and that was really fast. And I put in my Momo details. So now I'm waiting for the deduction message, which I still haven't gotten. It's now 10:25 a.m. I'm waiting on the message. 2 minutes, 3 minutes later, I still haven't even received a message of the deduction or even a message from the EC to make sure that my details in there are accurate.
Well, that's it for Election Brief. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Savo. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs.